Are you familiar with FBI Special Agents Kyle Seraphin?
I'm familiar with the name.
Is that yes?
I'm familiar with the name. Familiar with the name. Familiar with the name.
Let's bring in Kyle Seraphin. He's the FBI whistleblower who helped expose government censorship of our First Amendment rights.
Now, we only have this memo because a recently suspended FBI agent called Kyle Seraphin brought it to the public. We're grateful that he did. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
He's the host of something that strangely is called the Kyle Seraphin Show.
Kyle Seraphin, I can't thank you enough for speaking out. I knew you guys were out there, and I knew it was just a matter of time, but you got a lot of guts putting your face and your name to this. You're doing a service on behalf of the American people, and from the bottom of my cracked and broken heart sometimes, thank you very much.
Take a look behind the curtain with a real whistleblower and American patriot. Prepare to embrace the uncomfortable truth because this program has no time for comforting lies. Here is civil liberties enthusiast, Second Amendment defender, and recovering FBI agent Kyle Seraphin.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Today is Friday. It is June the 28th. Yes, I have checked the calendar, and that seems accurate. We're going to get rolling here. We are live on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Join us over on Rumble. If you're on YouTube, you can join the chat here. I can actually see what you're saying. It goes up and down like that. And if you want to support the channel, it's $5 a month. You don't get anything special for it other than your name is highlighted in red and a couple of little emojis, but you do get to support us, and we get 100% of that money, and we appreciate it. If you guys want to do it while things are live. You got to go into the website on Rumble, hit follow, and then subscribe, and you can contribute a little $5 like all of these fine folks are that you are seeing scrolling on the screen. Really appreciate all of you guys. Our monthly supporters are awesome, and you guys are here every morning. We really love seeing you. We're going to get into a lot of fun today because our friend Steve Friend, for Friendly Friday, did a patriotic service to you and to me and everyone else by not watching the debate last night. So he can give us his unredacted cold reactions to the things that we're going to do. I curated a couple of good clips. We've got some coverage of the actual debate. We've got some meta coverage of people who are reacting to what they saw in the debate. And then we have some analysis to go along with it in the form of TikToks, which I think is really fun because it's Friday. Let's take a little easy. It's summer. I was told that the reason that our audiences might be a little smaller is because people get days off during the summer and they go on vacation. Who are you people going on vacation? And where are you going? Let me know in the comments below. I maybe will take a vacation one day. I reminded my wife that I still owe her a honeymoon. We've been married almost 11 years. So one day we will take a vacation, maybe without our kids. Go figure. All right, before we get dialed into the fun of the show, the analysis, the meta-analysis, and the direct coverage, I want to say thanks to a new sponsor who's joined us. And if you guys are wondering, after last night's debate, it's time. It's time to do it. You got to get yourself prepped up, okay? You're not going to like hearing this because nobody likes hearing that your generation is failing behind, but if you are part of the Gen X or the Boomer generation, millennials and Gen Z are doing something better. Apparently, the research shows that they are more prepared than other generations between savings account and emergency stockpiles, food, guns, ammo. You know they are getting it done. That's not a good sign. Maybe because you've been safe for your whole life, just like me. You got no excuse now. If you're not preparing, you're failing, and you're getting ready to repair. And you can get started right now with My Patriot Supply. The website is preparelikekyle.com. It's very easy to go to. Since 2008, My Patriot Supply has helped millions of Americans gear up for emergencies. Today, you can get their popular 4-week emergency food kit for $50 off. That's a good deal. You can stock up. There's no limit. Get yours at the website preparelikekyle.com. Again, preparelikekyle.com. Each of these kits gives you over 2,000 calories for every single day for a 4-week period. Plus, they are made in ultra-durable 4-layer packaging, and they last for up to 25 years in storage. Save $50 and get free shipping by going to preparelikekyle.com. There's no time like the present. Make sure you guys are set up. You guys, prepare, repair. I'm telling you, after watching that debate performance, whew, baby, we're not. I'm more convinced now that they can't have an election, and we're going to bring on my buddy Steve Friend to discuss it. Steve, welcome to the Friday edition, your regular cameo appearance.
Oh, I'm grateful to be here. And I did do the American service of not consuming two old men trying to wail on each other verbally. Instead, I actually watched The Highwaymen on Netflix for like the third or fourth time because
is this the
Costner
movie?
Watching some Texas Rangers gun down Bonnie and Clyde, like in posse style, the way that America should be. That was my duty last night.
Listen, that's the Kevin Costner and who else is in there?
It's well, man, he's white man can't jump guy.
Yeah. I can't think of his name either. Someone put it in the chat. Who's the partner? He's really good. And he was in the Zombieland stuff. Why can I not think of the other guy? Here's the thing. I keep making the argument, and I think we actually showed this on the show the other day. If law enforcement's not going to do its job because policies are hamstringing them, because Austin is only interested in hiring on a police officer or a former police chief that's going to come in and do DEI stuff, then people are going to get Western in this country, and they are going to go back to the posse style. And it's Woody Harrelson. Thank you. They are going to go out there and they're going to hang people, and they're going to catch them and turn them in, and they're going to beat the crap out of them before they get them over to the sheriff's office where they throw them into the jail. We're going to get backwards in time. Some people think that's cool. I actually think it's not great for our kids, but it is very American. You're right about that. How's your search to become the police chief of Austin going?
Well, I did get some press on it in an article that was published in local paper. They said it was a very subpar group of applicants for the job. So
you're subpar. Yeah, they got a fake gay guy out of Seattle. They got who's the black police chief that came in? Milwaukee
police chief. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean,
he
I didn't
trans?
really have other than a name mentioned in a long list of candidates, but my name is on there. I'm doing the Google alerts because I want to make sure that I'm catching something like the Cleveland Plain Dealer did to George Hill and Garrett
when they
Boyle.
smear you.
No, just listed my name, but I was waiting on it. Right now, it's just name only, but we'll see if I make it past the first round and maybe make it to an interview. At that point, maybe we'll have to do another Friendly Friday in-person edition.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. If you get the interview. So our live chat, it was just saying something that makes me laugh. And I'm sure that's why this is part. So we're working with My Patriot Supply. They gave us like a little bit of a script and I get to play with it. And one of the things is about generations. And someone just said that generation comment hit hard. I actually do think that generations before us, because we keep looking like, who are these people getting into politics? You look at Donald Trump. He's 78 years old. You've got Joe Biden. He's 875,000 years old. So that's tough for him. So you've got the original generation, Gen 1, and then you've got Trump in sort of the boomer generation, right? Is he boomer or is he? I think
he's still boomer, and the boomers
right
are
on
holding on with their dead hands, Charlton Heston style, dead cold hands, and they've deprived Gen X of the opportunity. And Gen X is like, hey, look, we're pretty comfortably numb here. We're just going to Netflix and chill. There's no real urgency. And then I was looking, actually, this was unrelated, but it was about the fact that every generation is doubling the amount of people that are claiming to be part of the LGBTQ kamikaze rainbow coalition. And I was like, so there's Gen Z, and then the next generation is Gen Alpha, which theoretically would be 50% gay. And then the next generation, which mathematically would be 100% gay, it's Gen Beta, which is just so on point.
And then there's Gen Charlie, which
doesn't exist anymore.
Zero people. Yeah, no
the
more people.
species ends.
It ends the species. That's the end of it. Or they're just the last survivors, like hanging out in these urban wastelands where there's like dozens of people in a city that used to house dozens of millions of people. And they're looking around going like, how did they make all this work? They made it work because there were more people. Folks, you got to have babies. So let me do our coverage this way. I want to tell you right up front that I opened up my regular web pages this morning, CNN, ABC, etc., and I found out that Biden won against all odds. And here's the proof. This is the analysis from ABC on the left, CNN on the right. Both of them deeply acknowledge that Biden has problems with age and their work, that Trump didn't talk about deportations or something, but his weakness was on full display because he's really old. And then the takeaway that ABC put out there was, ultimately, I'm going to read this verbatim, folks, ultimately, Biden won the debate on policy, but he lost it on presentation, and he failed to reassure voters that he's up to another 4 years. I don't know what that means, but they said that he won it on policy. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to hear some things. I think you can almost always tell the substance of somebody's performance by the way they close. Is that fair? That's what people walk away with.
Anybody that actually sat through the entire debate, I think you probably get the opening, and maybe the first 20 minutes is probably really important. They try to throw out their little viral zingers. And then, yes, if you're going to make a closing argument, there's a reason that is so compelling in a court case. That's the last word that you get, the last imprint that you can make on the jury and the American people of the jury here.
All right. So there was a coin toss, like some kind of a sporting event, and Biden won. And Biden chose to go first and give the first closing remarks, giving Donald Trump the last word By choice, this happened. So I'm going to play them in that order. And on top of that, the reason that he gave that up is because he wanted to choose which podium to stand at. And I assume, I have no idea why. I actually don't have any idea what the strategy is.
That was a point of contention. Don't they normally put
old people like to go to places that they're comfortable and familiar with? Maybe a shorter walk across the stage. I don't know, buddy. I don't know this story. Maybe someone can tell us the idea between that. So the coin toss allowed Biden to choose to be the last word, and he chose not to be the last word. So he opened the closing remarks with the following. Are you prepared to ingest? It's 2 minutes. We're going to play the whole thing. We're going to be really fair.
Send it.
Here we go.
No jump cuts. Send it.
No jump cuts. No cheap fakes here, folks. Here's what it sounds like.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along, it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President.
Did you get it? Come on, Steve. Real reaction.
Wow. You sat through 90 minutes of that? All right. So I know why he went first. Because he was worried that the drugs were going to wear off, and
they wore off.
That they were probably
they freaking wore off, man. They wore off you watched him wear off. So the story was there was a meta-analysis being done on Daily Wire, and I guess a neurologist called in and told Ben Shapiro and said, "Listen, they gave his drugs with the wrong timing because they didn't hit right. They actually should have given them earlier." So he went in like that, like you saw him. He spiked in the middle when it was least interesting. And then they wore off. And so, yeah, that's what you saw. That was his closing. What are your, how do you feel about that closing?
Well, if you're trying to make the best case, because I think you have to assume this is the only debate there's going to be.
Yeah.
This is the moment. You have, you're going to get prepared remarks. You should have rehearsed this during the 8 days that you were vegging out at Camp David.
I think you did.
And it was a complete grab bag of things. And you spent 60 to 70% of it saying like that other guy, why don't you make the PT buff for me? Why don't you make the case that you're going to do something, Mr. President, who's currently occupying? And then he tried to get around to it and lead pipes. You're closing your closing remark. The last thing that you're going to leave the American people with is lead pipes. I think that the proper response, and I imagine that Donald Trump had his remarks prepared. He probably stuck to the script. But if you just tossed me into that situation, I would have done like the My Cousin Vinny and just been like, everything that guy just said is bullshit. And then stopped, just stood there, just on the Donald Sutherland pointing like, is this serious right now?
That's what just happened. Right now? I'm going to give you Donald Trump's reaction.
Relatable thing you could say, right? Like, folks.
Dude, but can we agree?
Look, I'm really interested in the presidential election. I wouldn't be running if I didn't want to be your president. come January of 2025, but I am also a citizen of this country. Who is running the country right now?
The guy who's worried about lead pipes, man. Look, Roman plumbing is a real problem. That's why PB is the symbol for lead. It comes from the Latin word that relates to plumbing. So, and the word escapes me right now because I took Latin like 25 years ago or 30 years ago. The biggest takeaway that Savannah Hernandez, who's a friend, has on Twitter, which I think is actually amazing, and we don't cover this clip, but she said, essentially, my takeaway from the debate was, if you're ever raped by your sister and you need an abortion, vote for Joe Biden because he's got you. So let's give Donald Trump his due. You suggested what he should say. I think that it should always go down to the things that are on my list that the Biden administration is running on. And he touched on a fair number of them. So let's give Donald Trump his 2 minutes. This is what it sounds like. This is how the debate ended. You saw the beginning of the end. This is the end.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
All right.
It's about contrast here.
There's a contrast in energy and presentation. Donald Trump is very inartful in the way that he speaks. He kind of meanders around, but he did do the PT buff. He did a similar sort of amount of time devoted to attacking his opponent in his closing argument, but it was all related to it stinks, but he has the benefit of having been the president. It stinks, but I did these things, and here's the benefit that you had at the time, and I'm going to bring them back. That's a pretty clear argument to me. It's a nice argument that goes in his side and to his side, to his credit. But getting off track a little bit, but he was able to bring it home and hammer home his ultimate mission: make America great again. Right? That's all he has to say. He doesn't have to win the people over who'd identify themselves as MAGA. They're going to crawl over broken glass to vote for him. But he can actually appeal to people who are gettable, and people who are gettable look at the one guy who can barely get a syllable out of his face and say, I'm very uncomfortable with who's in charge now. And I really, maybe I'm left of center politically, but I don't mind having a military that's up to snuff. And this guy seems to be approved by the military. Okay. I mean, I could see that being somebody who's gettable at that point. That was actually one of the reasons I didn't want to even watch the debate, because I was like, who's watching it that's gettable at this point? They seem to be pretty much hard in their camps. And then I looked at, Senator Mehmet Oz and said, wow, that debate really, solidified his candidacy and ultimate election. Oh, wait, no, he lost to a kumquat. So I don't know how much it does, but man, if that 90 minutes was anything like the closing arguments, I think that the debate probably has a significant impact. You're going to have a lot of viral moments, a lot of good clips you could pull out of there.
Those are cheap fakes. How dare you? How do you think Biden thought he did?
I don't think Biden thinks. But
Good.
I think
Okay,
he was told to say that I think I answered all the questions asked of me and won on the policy.
That's too many words. He can't do that. Here we go.
Mr. President, how did you perform tonight? I think we did well. Mr. President, how did you perform tonight? I think we did well.
I think we did well. Give him a cup of coffee. That's what he needs. Coffee.
He needs ice cream.
He needs to go to sleep. That was past his bedtime. I was actually shocked. I didn't realize it was going to start at 9 p.m. local time.
Massive advantage for Donald Trump. I mean, for
Yeah,
all the
anytime
facts
it's dark
and
outside.
circumstances set in Biden's favor going into it, he's like late stage dementia at this point. I don't even think it's middle stage. Don't they do the sunsetting thing? Like they're most productive early on in the day.
Yeah, he did not need to be doing that in an hour of darkness. That was a mistake. Early morning and late night were both Donald Trump's domain. He's like special operations in the military. He's got the capability of walking around in the dark. Joe Biden needs someone to handle him in the daylight. So that was a big mistake. I want to do meta coverage. Chuck Todd, friend or foe of a Donald Trump?
Foe.
Okay, here's their take. The outrage and the absolute firestorm of panic is very amusing. I got some stuff. I got Jeffrey Toobin. He put down his Toobin long enough to do a comment, and that's also fun. So we'll play a couple of these little clips here. Actually, before we do that, let me say thanks to my buddies at Catholic Vote who make this show possible, guys. CatholicVote.org/give, or you can actually go to, and I think the link might be in my show notes, but if not, it's store.catholicvote.org. You can get yourself a copy of this because this is where we're at right now. For God, country, and sanity. Sanity is the one thing that we need more than anything else, from what I can tell after watching that debate. Good Lord Almighty, I'll show you more evidence of that. This is how Catholics can save America. I've got a chapter in here. There's several others, and I think there's 13 total chapters. Check it out. It's edited by Brian Birch, who's brilliant. He really is one of the bright, interesting, clever minds that you probably don't know. We'll get him on the show at some point because he's a friend, and he's been taking care of our family in a way that most people would never have the balls to come out and do. There's no other way to say it. CatholicVote.org/give if you want to support them. They directly keep us going, and we're very grateful for them. And check out our Between the Lines, which there is a link in the show description for sure. That's our little thing that we do, and we did a pre-coverage of what the contrast was going to look like, and I think I actually nailed it before the debate went on. So that we put that out yesterday, just before the debate went live. Okay, you ready for Chuck Todd?
Oh, send it.
I'm so excited for this. This is about caricatures, which is something that we all love.
You know, one of the things was, would either candidate look like the caricature that the other campaign has been trying to paint of him? And at the end of the day, Joe Biden looks like the caricature that conservative media has been painting. And there were no clips tonight, right? This was, you saw it before your eyes. Look, I don't want to just tell you what I think here, Tom. I've been talking to a lot of leaders in the Democratic Party, electeds, coalition leaders. There's a full-on panic about this performance. Not like, oh, this is recoverable. It is more of a, okay, he's got to step aside. There's a lot of that chatter. This is about as bad of a performance in order to that Biden could have delivered if his goal was to try to sort of calm the waters among Democrats. I mean, look, there was.
That's devastating. I do
That's
think
Chuck
it was
Todd.
funny to have Chuck Todd say, I don't want to tell you what I'm thinking, because what I'm thinking is like running around with my hair on fire. But so let me just say that other people are saying the exact same thing that I'm thinking. It must have been that evident for him to go that far. The question I have is, how early on in the debate were they clicking publish on all the major news sites like, hey, we need to swap out the candidate? Like, was it within 30 minutes of the opening of the debate? Because that means they actually had those pieces written ahead of time in preparation for it. And I think that's probably pretty normal. But who was the first one to do it? Which news sources? Were it the extreme absolute left side, or was it more perceived to be down the middle or leftist central, Washington Post, New York Times, that are going to go to the mattresses for a Biden candidate?
I like the mattresses, not the mats, but the mattresses. This is a new phrase that Steve is going to turn. I think that's the sexual version of that. So well done. Listen, you said
Jeffrey Toobin. It just got.
I know. I went down that hole anyway.
Nice Freudian slip.
There's no way for us to talk about this in a nice way. Can we assign some homework to our listener group, folks? I don't know that I have the wherewithal to go figure out who the first person that pushed publish is, but some of you are diligent researchers on your own. and you want to know. And I think that's an interesting question. Who's the first person that said, it's time to get off the ship? Who was the first rat off the ship on the left side? Now, we're not going to just leave it with Chuck Todd. That's silly. As I promised you, Tubin, don't worry. It's a chest up shot, so no worries of seeing what's going on with his hands. He still could be wearing no pants. We can't substantiate any possibility of that. Let's just keep digging into this, because this is the hole that just keeps getting deeper, and it's really, really fun. This is my favorite Friday in a while.
Who won the debate? We asked debate watchers in our instant poll, and the answer is a resounding Donald Trump did. 67% of debate watchers in our poll say Donald Trump won the debate tonight. Joe Biden, 33% say he won the debate tonight. Now, this group of debate watchers, they told us who they thought would win the debate going into it before the debate, and take a look at how that changed over time. 55% thought before the debate that Donald Trump would win the debate. 45% thought Joe Biden would win the debate. Look at what the debate did to those expectations. That's
okay. There was a plus or minus 5.5% margin of error on that poll. He went up 12 points from the debate, but as much as 17 points, which is probably more accurate.
I mean, I need to meet these 33%. That means 1 out of 3 people thought that the Roomba, the human Roomba up there, won a war of words with someone else who's, I don't even care about the policy. It's just
who won the
presentation.
Sorry, I didn't mean to play that over the top. Who won the debate? The Roomba. That's what they thought.
Well, and I think the evidence of what we're going to forecast over the horizon is going to be, are they going to argue hard for what are the mechanisms for us to swap out the candidate at this point? Or are you going to see an argument of, hey, look, debates don't mean anything. It's the results are baked into the pudding here. We really look at how our booming economy is. Look at our stock market, even though it's only driven by 7 companies. Look at all these job numbers that we have, even though it's all foreigners who are getting hired. I think that you'll see that argument probably from Sideshow Bob today. Karine Jean-Pierre will talk about how debates don't matter. And are they going to say that he was ill?
Our governance stands on its own.
Or the excuses. I did see that they were saying that, he has a cold. Like,
no, he's just old, man. That's just how he sounds.
That's just how elderly.
Why are you why are you lying to us? You just didn't get your cocktail of drugs right. As you said, the alchemist at the White House. I've stolen this from Steve Friend. So if you were thinking that I can credit myself, I cannot. Steve Friend believes there is a man there trying to make gold and make Joe Biden functional, and he's got to be tapped out of whatever he's got in his magic bag. There's no further way you can push this.
The apothecary's got to be completely out of all his ammunition, and then the necromancer in the form of Jill Biden couldn't even do her dark magic to raise him.
There's a necromancer. These are great. These are great things. Folks, if you like what you're hearing, if you like where you're at, make sure you give us a like. Make sure you're following the channels wherever we are. We've got a nice viewership this morning, so thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it, and we're having a lot of fun with this because it's really fun to see complete meltdown. We've been waiting for it for a while. I want you to know that some people do support Joe. You said there's a third of the people, 1 in 3, which is a lot. Now, I've been meditating a lot on the bell curve because people keep asking me, like, do people really think this way, or are they being paid to say stupid things? This was a discussion that we were having about some of the leftists that are making legal arguments, and they're completely disingenuous, and they completely ignore factual reality. And so we have this question. Are people really dumb, or are people really deceptive? And then I have to remember that the bell curve says that when you look at the average intelligence, 49% of the people in the world are less than average. And I have to imagine those people like to listen to other dumb people. They want to hear people that sound like them and say dumb things. And that is how you get Kamala Harris, 1, as the vice president. I have to imagine. There's no other way about it. And number 2, she makes a great point here. So stand by, MAGA. You're about to get rebuked by the vice president of the United States.
Who won the debate?
Why did that just queue up? That's not the right number. It's number 6. It's not number 5. Although Jeffrey Tubin yelling who won the debate is actually, now I've done that 3 times. So there you go. Okay, here's Kamala Harris. The dignity is gone.
Of the 2 people on that debate stage, only one of them has the endorsement of his vice president. And let's not forget that. Let's not forget that.
Very awkward.
Well, if Rachel Maddow tells you that what you just said was very awkward, do you know how awkward you are?
She is one of the most cringy communicators. I think I've ever seen in the form of a politician.
She's incredible.
Proof of concept of how someone can be moved in a very blue area up through the ranks for whatever means they had to. Mattresses.
When you
included,
say up, okay, yep, there you go.
and never face any sort of tough questions. Just elevates all the way. I think she was the attorney general, then she became a senator, and then was a vice presidential now. And I think she has her eye on the prize eventually. I mean, she might actually, after this, they might just 25th Amendment him and just have her be the president for 6 months, get all the accoutrements, and then be like, I'm going to step aside, spend more time with my non-children. And then
I'm going to go back into my Mamala role.
But
it's Mamala.
That's a pretty good gig. Not for nothing. If you gave Kamala Harris the opportunity to be the first female president and just serve like 5 months, I think she probably takes it and then just rides off into the sunset to whatever high lucrative job she's going to get over at Netflix.
I threw up in my mouth just a little bit, and that's your fault. So I wish you wouldn't do that kind of stuff. We're not done here yet. We're not done here. The rest of the media also fell apart. Rachel Maddow just called the vice president of the United States awkward when she made a claim that is very, very weird. And it doesn't get any better. It actually continues to get worse. Before we go there, let me just say thanks to my buddies at Patriot Cooler. Something is not awkward unless you work in a government job and you decide to put a Suspendables mug on your desk. Some of you have been sending me pictures from your workplaces sporting Suspendables merch. You can do so at patriotcoolers.com. You can get your own. The Patriot Coolers tumblers are outstanding. Their coffee mugs are also excellent if you want to keep hot or beverages hot or cold in that order. Promo code Kyle, Kyle, Kyle. It's just my first name. We'll save you 10%. You'll get free shipping if you spend more than $50. They are the OG and the original and the first sponsor of the Kyle Seraphin Show, and they've stuck with us. We're really appreciative, and you guys are out there getting really good-looking products. Everybody who gets it goes like, man, it's really a nice product. I'm really glad I did that. And it's like, yeah, I used them before I ever had a podcast. They're people that I supported just because they made a good product. I'm really excited, and I'm proud that they have decided to stay with us as a sponsor. The people over there are awesome, and they ship quickly, and they make a great-looking patriotic product. So check them out. PatriotCoolers.com, promo code Kyle. Steve has one. You got one right there? What do you got? Oh.
I do. I got my OD green.
Oh, yes.
You sent me 2 of them, and because we weren't smart with the color selection, my wife and I don't know whose is whose. We should have done better on that one. But OD green's always a winner.
I gave Steve a choice. Do you want a green and a black? Do you want 2 greens? What do you want? And then he's like, yeah, 2 greens, olive. And I was like, cool. And Garrett, I think, got different colors. So they won't have that problem.
That was a rookie mistake. Steve should have known better, but that's okay. I'll just leave mine on my desk, and it'll gradually build up something that's probably Jeffrey Toobin level of filth, and then we'll know that it's mine.
I'm very uncomfortable with that. All right, I feel like I got these out of order here, but I got this. I think is going to be NBC talking about who won. Again, more coverage, more meta coverage here because it's all good.
Look, there is no question this is not the night that the Biden campaign wanted or needed. They were going into this hoping that the president's performance would put to rest those remaining concerns about his age and his fitness for office. It is hard to see how what we just saw did that, how it put to bed those concerns. He had a rough start, as you noted. He was rambling. He struggled at times to collect his thoughts. There was that pause.
How much pain are they channeling into this analysis, if you will? Because that's got to hurt to say.
Yes, it's got to be something that in the back of their mind, they're thinking I'm committing a sin. We've been scolded for the last 5 weeks that you don't fight on your own side, right? But there must be a universal push within all of mainstream left of center media that this was absolutely a catastrophe for them to go that far and say that on TV, because now they have given material to the Trump campaign to run ads for the rest of the election cycle. All they have to do is just pull clips of MSNBC and CNN saying disaster.
I'm giving them to them right now. You can use these. You can use others. Some of these things are popping up from the RNC war room and the Trump MAGA war room that shows up on social media. So I don't pull all these clips individually. I find them. But yep, they're over and over. They just can't handle it. How about the worst moments? Are you ready for the worst moments? Because you didn't see the worst moments. You just saw the closing arguments, Steve.
Oh my gosh. I need to. It's Friday.
This is why the rough start with the stronger middle and it tailed off and it ended with what you saw. What you saw was as good as he was able to get, for a tie together for 2 straight minutes. And here's the thing that Trump did. And I actually was really impressed. He was poised and he was very disciplined because he walked in there knowing that he owns this guy. You've been in those moments. It doesn't matter whether you're sitting across the subject, from a table from a subject that you have the goods on them, you have the evidence already, the confession is irrelevant. And so you own them already, and so you can just play it soft and you don't have to play it hard. Trump went in there that way. I think he dominated it. He made a couple, they muted his mic in between so these guys couldn't talk over each other, but they can't stop Donald Trump facial expressions. And he basically looks like Pepe the Frog wincing sometimes, and it's really, really good. But anyway, here is the so-called worst moments and some of his best returns, because, Trump's not nice, which I do like that about him. I kind of have that kind of spirit animal going too. So here you go.
One of the worst moments for Biden tonight when he lost track of what he was saying in the middle of an answer about Medicare.
Making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Trump later questioning Biden's ability to respond to those questions.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
I don't mean to just laugh. This is not supposed to be
He
just
did
a silly...
My Cousin Vinny. He did
it. Yeah, he's like, I don't know what that dude just said, and neither do you, so that's the end of that. But and his facial expressions are brilliant. Like, they were trying to do, I watched it. They would look, and when Trump would be like, he would give him like the questioning eagle look, like did that just happen? And then they would immediately cut away, and they would go to like a solid shot of Biden talking, but he's rambling. And so they're hard. There's no audience, okay, because I originally saw this stuff and I was like, oh, dude, this is a terrible decision. Why would you go and give Biden home field advantage with CNN? Why would you go and agree to anything? But and why would you not have a crowd? Because the crowd, Donald Trump plays the crowd. Joe Biden talks through laugh lines and is confused. He was brilliant on that, and I have to give them credit. Whoever decided an empty room, because Donald Trump, just like Kyle Seraphin, and maybe like Steve Friend at this point, can talk to a wall. I'm talking to a wall right now. You just happen to be on the wall for me. But I talk to a wall every day. Donald Trump could talk to himself, and he's funny when he does that. Joe Biden can't even talk to like real people when they're in the room with him, and he talks to dead people who are not in the room. Brilliant move.
They really must have put thought into that. I was, like you, skeptical of why are you going to give them every single advantage? You're going to give them the moderators that they want, the venue that they want. I guess the fact that they had to stand was probably boded well for Trump's prospects, because Joe Biden's just so weak at this point and feeble. But the fact that there's no crowd, they're not going to do that drone shot where they come in and out and they look to show that the full room, and it's the presentation. So then they have to do the two candidates, and it's boring because people's attention span is so short to just have one guy on screen talking. So they have to do the side by side. And if you do the side by side and you show the old decrepit guy who can't keep his mouth closed at this point and just drooling and waiting for his oatmeal or his pudding or whatever, that's and like you said, that the reaction from Trump, I mean, that just
priceless.
Impacts people.
No mic needed. It's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect. And if you guys are not, if you're not watching our show over here on Rumble, which you can, and the chat is going off on it, the people are taking offense to the fact that I called them walls. People want to know if I built the wall, if there are human walls. Look, I'm not calling you walls. I'm just saying I'm talking in a room by myself, even though I know you guys are out there. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, Donald Trump knows what the audience looks like. He can imagine an audience. His brain still works enough to be able to picture that there are people he's communicating to. So he does. Joe Biden is confused about where he is, what's being said. The argument about the earpiece is really funny. Our buddy Alpha Luna kind of did a little funny take. He said confirming right now, in fact, there was an earpiece, but Trump's campaign got ahead of it, and they actually worked a jamming device into his watch, which scrambled the capability of Joe Biden, so he was lost. So there you go.
I don't think any sort of like, we're going to tell Biden what to say.
Do you know how hard it is to have someone feed you? Like, you and I have been, you've been a cop. I've done surveillance work. When I was a surveillance guy, I would have a police scanner running loudly, and I would have a second channel running in my ear, and then I would have the team radio running either on the other ear or it would be on my open ear. So scanner, radio, when you start having cross traffic, even having one person talk to you while you're having a conversation, anybody can imagine it. Do you think Joe Biden can realistically take words being said in his ear that he is trying to say? You've done Newsmax hits where they feed your own thoughts back into yourself. It's insane. You even smart people just fall apart when there's words being put into your ear. So I don't know. I don't think it works.
One of the proudest moments I had as a police officer was when I could simultaneously have a conversation with a victim or a witness to a crime and then have the radio traffic going in my ear and be able to simultaneously do it. It took me years to accomplish that.
So
and it's
hard.
not like an ongoing conversation where they're just feeding you line after line after line to recite. And yeah, you said Newsmax. I had the radio room talking in my ear while it was live on TV.
I've heard that they've done that to me too. They'll be like, okay, we're going to key up this shot and we're going to do this thing. And you're like, dude, I'm flipping talking right now. Is anyone else hearing this? Is it just me? Am I just the crazy person? So you end up being the guy on the stage that's going like, huh? And you're blinking and you're weird. Joe Biden didn't blink for the entire thing. So that was weird. His eyelids have stopped working, but it's incredibly hard. So the earpiece thing, even though everyone talks about it, I don't think it works really well. Here is more evidence that, and maybe this is the earpiece at work. Maybe this is what happens when you try to tell him the answer. This is how far off the rails he got on his own. No help, just another good cut. I think this was Joe Biden at his worst. Wait a minute.
Wants to get away with, get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well,
I mean, like, is someone trying to tell? No, not pharma. No, it's Medicare. It's and he's going like, he can barely process at speed. I don't know. Maybe that's in his head. Maybe not. If I were to tell you, Steve, I got some disagreements with you, but we can solve this like some gentlemen. Let's handle this at the range. What does that mean to you?
We're going to go shoot some rounds down range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I would want to do. I would want to go settle it at the range that way. We're going to settle it at the range, but it's not. Well, it's what you'd think that two men at 78 and 81 might do.
Oh, they're going to go hit golf balls.
They're going to go hit golf balls. So here you go. This is, and by the way, the best too, one man owns, I don't know how many golf courses that Trump owns, but it's like more than two. I think he owns like a half dozen, maybe more golf courses, right? That's fair?
Oh, yeah. He's a legendary owner of golf courses. He built them all over. He was a big fight in Ireland over having one.
Right.
He has one of the best
Scotland,
stories ever where he had a tough time getting membership and they wanted to slash prices. And he was like, no, double it because it'll make it sound more elite. And then they sold out as soon as they did that.
Which is actually brilliant. And it is the way to go. Okay, so here's the deal. Whenever you want to go hustle somebody who is doing something, you don't go for the person that owns the tool that you want to hustle them on. So if you own a pool table and you have unlimited access to playing pool, then trying to hustle the guy who owns the pool table, it could go in your favor, but not if he actually uses it. You're going to get smoked. And that's just a basic rule. If somebody owns an Olympic pool and they swim in it every day and you don't, and you sometimes go to the YMCA, you don't challenge them to a match in the swimming pool. This is the funniest claim. And also, Biden can't help but lying, so he just argued about his handicap with a man who owns more golf courses than the handicap. Here we go.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way,
the reaction is so good.
Trump's reaction is great, but I actually
Trump knows what that means. Like I don't know. I know that it means that he's like pretty close to getting at the scratch level of being a decent golfer, right? So I know that he only has to be spotted 6 or 8. So fine. So he's basically hitting a par on every single. I don't do golf, but I understand enough of golf to see.
He's a good golfer if he's a 6. Yeah, he's a decent amateur. Which would
here's what set this up. Donald Trump is like, look, they're asking, they're like, oh, how do you compare your age, your cognitive fitness, or whatever? And he was like, look, I'm so great. Look how great I am. I'm the greatest guy that's been here. In fact, I just won 2 golf tournaments. I won 2 golf tournaments. It was the Players' Cups at my own clubs, and they weren't the seniors. These were the real Players' Cup, and I just won it. I won the club tournament championships. I'm really good. And then he was like, and I've seen this guy, and he's weak, and he's feeble, and his drives are like 50 yards, and mine are like 550 yards. So he does this whole thing where he sets up Biden, and Biden's like, he baited Biden into saying, he said, come behind the gym and we'll fight this out. Except they're men who are almost 80 or over 80, so they're going to do it at a golf course by a driving competition. And then Joe Biden claimed, where's the fact check on that? I want to see that somebody ran a fact check on Joe Biden's handicap. I'm not even sure. The guy can't stand on a bicycle. And then he makes the claim, this is the last piece, I might as well tell you. The last piece in there was Biden thought he was going to score points, and he was like, but we all have to carry our own bags. And Trump actually laughed at him, just like that face. There you go. All right, what do you got?
All right, a couple of quick ones. They're vying for the suburbs, right? The rural voters are all Trump. The cities are all going for Biden. Who plays golf? Dudes in the suburbs. So that's probably the bad thing to argue in your favor or to get an argument over who's a better golfer. If you make it that the issue, then Trump's a better golfer, more likely. And Joe Biden, the walking human Roomba, he doesn't need to say the word handicap to put that into anybody's mind. And he certainly doesn't need to talk about driving, because that guy does not need to be driving an automobile.
Right.
Those are the worst word choices possible.
I mean,
if Donald Trump uses only the best words, clearly Joe Biden uses the worst words.
Okay, but if if Trump actually used the best words, what he would have said is, of course, we're going to have to carry our own bags. Nobody will let you get behind the wheel of a golf cart. That would have been the finishing move for me. I would have just turned off. I would have just done a 7-minute stream of me laughing hysterically, because that would have been perfect.
Superfly Snuka going off the top rope.
Yeah, just it's all over for you there. Okay, I'm going to play you Trump's best moment. 1 second. First, we're going to break over here. We're going to say thanks to our buddies over at Mad Hat Jerky. A lot of you guys are ordering this on their 4th of July special. So if you're interested in a high quality dehydrated meat, I don't know why I had to spell out what it is, but that's what jerky is. MadHatJerky.com/Kyle. MadHatJerky.com/Kyle. Normally, you can use my promo code KYLE to save 20%. You can use the new promo code USA, save yourself 30%, and a number of you guys are taking advantage of that. So USA, in honor of the 4th of July, USA saves you. It's 3 letters and 30%. Pretty solid deal. I'm going to give you, my friend, the single best moment, I think, and I mean this objectively. This is not funny. This is actually the argument in favor when you compare the two guys. What I love about good leaders, and you and I have experienced good and the worst and the people who should be hung by working in the FBI. The best leaders, I think, are reluctant. They see that there's a job that needs to be done. They don't desire it. And they say, it has to be done. No one is doing it. That Isaiah 6:8 moment where it's like, send me. Like, who shall I send? Here I am if I'm being tasked. So Trump doesn't do a lot of humility. I think this is as close to humility as we're going to see. And I think this actually is the single best line of the 2 hours of insanity. Here we go.
And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment, because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad.
That is a compelling argument, and he's made artfully and articulately. And the side-by-side, when you see Joe Biden actually turning his body away
physically
from
away.
Donald Trump,
right?
That's a stunning image to see that. He indicted me, and he just turns away like a little child who knew.
Dude, I saw the exact same thing.
Took that cookie.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, he's not at a point where he can control his body or his thoughts, and he's completely transparent to those of us who are watching it. And I think that's exactly it. It's like you saw the body language. This is the no audience moment. Because if an audience is there and there's a bunch of pro-Biden people, they boo and they derail this. This is talking to just two people sitting there whose job it is to shut their mouths. And one guy, how do you defend against that? Because the optics are great. And he didn't hammer it home. He's like, he's the most corrupt guy in the world, and he's coming after me, and he's done all these things, and he's hurting me. He's like, look, I wish he was good, but he's not good. He's come after me. And he's making a very soft sell. That is not Trumpian. It's the opposite of it.
Was that pretty early in the debate?
No, that was towards the end of it. What they were trying to do is they were trying to force him to accept the results, which is what CNN was trying to do, their little gotcha moments. Will you accept the results? And he was like, look, if it's fair and it's free and it's obvious, like nothing would make me happier than being able to accept it. In fact, I don't even want to be here, and that's why. So he gave that argument. I think it's the best. It's so strong. So that is the best cool way to let your opponent destroy himself. He gave him all the rope, and they set it up. And like I said, it's actually pretty brilliant, because I would have gone the other way with this. I would have thought Trump plays to a crowd. And by the way, after that, Joe Biden went and got a cup of coffee and then passed out and has not been seen since. I think he's still asleep. Trump went and did like an hour-long rally in the pouring rain. He went out and talked to people, and he was like, Joe Biden, he can't even be awake right now. Like, here I am doing my thing. I'm talking to you guys. This is fun. He was hyped up. He was like, he just won the fight. Like he felt like Rocky at the end of a, suddenly you've been beaten for 12 rounds, but then you get that bell in your favor and the belt comes in and suddenly you have supercharged. He went that route. So that also telling.
I think the most telling thing in looking into the future and projecting what's going to happen, you're going to have all the gnashing of teeth and, what are they going to do? Are they going to swap out Biden? Are they going to just ride or die with their guy here? The most telling thing to me is now the judge in New York City has to put Donald Trump in prison. That's the desperation move. That's what's going to happen. So just be prepared, folks. We got 2 weeks, and Donald Trump will be at Rikers Island if it is in fact like that bad. If it is the who won the debate, that's the way that the polling is starting to look like. He's got 65% of.
He's going to run away with it. Yeah, this is my argument again. It's like, how do they? You didn't see these people panicking, and even the media getting frenzied about the poor performance. All it tells me is that we are probably not going to see the election that you would want, which is why they're pushing for him to accept the results. And it tells me, I don't know if that's because they know in advance or they just want to pin him down on it because they think it's a gotcha about J6. It's kind of irrelevant to me. Here's the other thing, and you and I talked about this video beforehand, so we'll play it right now. Folks, this is the only commercial Donald Trump needs to run. They didn't make it. They can just ask this guy if they can just play it on every channel and bleep out the F word at the end. This is the only argument that needs to be made for your suburban people that are in the middle, that don't play golf, that are gettable. If they see this and they do this themselves, they're voting for Donald Trump, I think. Here we go.
I feel like I'm going to be sick. I just looked through my Walmart history and I found this Walmart order from 2 years ago for the whole month worth of groceries. 45 items cost $126. A whole month of groceries just for me, basically. But I did notice this reorder all button, and I wanted to see how much it would cost now. Now, this order of 45 items for 1 month would have cost $414. That is 4 times more. How the fuck? How? What?
Yeah, how is exactly right. By the way, there were not 45 items. If anybody has ever used a cart before, what he had was 4 items plus 45 items, so it was 49 items. But that's probably why he's not paying attention to inflation and why that shocks him. It should shock nobody that's paying attention. In fact, anybody that looks around, we talked about it the other day, the inflation numbers continue to drop. That means that the rate at which your money is getting cheapened drops. It doesn't mean that it's even slowed down. So it's just taking the accelerometer back. And so you are still going down the street to high prices. Make sure you guys have hit the like button. Make sure you've...
you're getting fatter at a slightly slower pace. You're still going to have the same tax on your organs. You're still finally going to die of diabetes, but it'll maybe not happen tomorrow, but it'll be, later on next week when they have to eventually chop your left leg off because you're getting fatter at a slightly slower rate. But that's nerdy. That video, that kid who's just kind of talking like a regular kid, who seems like he's not paying attention like most people, that is an empathetic sort of message that you can have because everyone goes to the grocery store and everyone's going to Walmart. Garrett and I always talk about, we're always looking for that yellow tagged meat. That's a reference to Walmart. That's right. Where I have to do my shopping.
Yeah.
And he's looking at a 3X, and I doubt that at his stage of life, he looks like he's literally 20s. Going from $130 to $400, that might mean that he doesn't eat anywhere close to the number of calories that he was 2 years ago. It's probably not good, especially if you're maybe skinny. A little later in life and you have a couple of little ones running around.
Mm-hmm. Or if you don't have a metabolism that can live on almonds only, like Steve Friend, you'll find yourself in real trouble. Quite interesting to me too. It's like our buddy Alpha, who now I'm thinking of again because I talked about him earlier. He was telling me that his electric bill in California is like $1,000 a month.
I can't.
And he's got a house with like a couple little kids running around. If you're spending if you're spending your rent check or your mortgage payment also on your electric bill and the rest of your bills combined, like what on earth? You've doubled the cost of housing. And even if you're just living in a place that is not crazy expensive for rent, and if you've been able to do that, There's some pressure that's pushing downward on some rent prices, but the price of a mortgage is insane. So a lot of people can't do it. They've tripled our costs when it comes to, the interest rates. And then I looked and I was like, yeah, man, my bills are high during the summer. It's like $250 a month to like do it. And I'm running lights and a camera and I've got all these monitors and I do an electric business, in addition to keeping the house comfortable and cold for 4 kids running around and a wife. $1,000. He was like, dude, when it's under $1,000, like we decided we're trying to figure out if we can do solar panels or like what on earth we can do because California is unaffordable. And that's just a regular guy living in a not fancy place in California. He lives in Cathedral City, which is, outside of Palm Springs. So if that's the problem that they're experiencing, it's all about money. Like I said, a soft sell wins. You don't have to do a whole lot. I actually brought a fun palate cleanser. Do you want palate cleanser? If you have any thoughts on that, I'll give you that chance to closing thoughts. I'll give you the Donald Trump closing argument if you like on that. And then I want to do a palate cleanser and a 5-star.
I'm with you, man. $1,000 for electric. And I live in Florida, the other sunshine state. And in Texas, hot in the summer. Florida's hot in the summer. But to have and bear that expense and then at the same time, be a father and a provider to your family, which has the downstream effects. That's why you see now, well, I just can't afford to have kids. And I used to say like, no, you need to buck up and be a dad.
That's right.
But at the same time, that's a problem for society. We're just going to start seeing those family trees go inverted into a V shape.
And that argument has actually started to hold a little bit of water. I get it. I still think you should have kids, folks, for whatever it's worth. I think you should go out there and make babies and do that. And let me also just say, merch store, if you guys want to support Garrett O'Boyle and those folks, I had a really good conversation today. Looks like there's some rulings dropping from Supreme Court. So we'll go and we'll see that on social media. But I had a really good conversation today with folks from Empower Oversight. There's some fun stuff that are working. We're in the lawfare world right now, folks, and it's about to get weird, hence some of my energy. So I'm wearing the Last Line Substack, Last Line Strength. These are coming from thesuspendables.com. You can the-suspendables.com to go to the website and support the O'Boyle Family Sweatshop. Let them crank out some t-shirts or some patches or some pins for you. Use promo code Kyle, which is my name, KYLE. It'll save you 10%. Doesn't pay us a penny. It's just for me trying to keep my buddy busy so he has a non-idle hand so he doesn't just lose his mind in frustration and rage with this federal government. You guys can support that, the-suspendables.com. All right, we're going to do, you got the option. Again, you want 5-star review or you want the video palate cleanser?
Oh, I need some dessert after that, hard-hitting experience that we had. Send me the palate cleanse.
Palate cleanse it is. Video it is. Okay, folks, here is a man talking about the benefits of Tesla and why you should drive an electric vehicle. I think this is actually a really good analogy on how Karine Jean-Pierre is going to have to try to sell Biden's performance as a president. So put that in mind. This is going to catch you off guard for a little bit. Bear with me here. Here we go.
One of the greatest things about owning an electric vehicle, specifically a Tesla, other than the Cybertruck being the best looking vehicle ever produced ever, is that after charging for about 12 hours overnight and me not being able to drive it during any sort of emergency because it's charging, I have a whopping 42% battery, which means I can go 133 miles anywhere I want to go. But even better is that 42% battery only cost me about $40 or $50 to fill up. Can your gas car do that? With a gas car, I'd have to pay about $50 for a full tank to go 500 miles. Why would I do that when I can pay $40 or $50 to go 133 miles in an electric car? And with an electric car, you have to wait 10 or 12 or 15 or 40, 50, 60 hours to charge it. With a gas car, you have to wait 3 minutes at the gas station. It just doesn't make sense to buy a gas car anymore at all.
I feel like every time I've cut away from these videos, I'm just laughing because this is that kind of morning. What do you think? That's the sales pitch. That's how you do it.
That's the sales pitch. And he also neglected to mention my favorite point, which is when he plugs it into the 3 magical holes, the pixie dust that's inside, that comes from a coal-fired plant. So essentially he's using the fossil fuels anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And maybe it's a natural gas, like the odds of it being a nuke is low. So yeah, that's the argument. The argument is, wouldn't you like to pay more to get less for a longer period of time and less functionality? That's the Biden proposition at this point, and Donald Trump is sort of the alternative to that. It's very funny when given, because he's been pushing EV so hard, it makes it the best argument. And also, you can't take away, right when he said it's the best looking vehicle of all time ever, I was like, am I being punked? Like, what's happening next? And then he made the argument about 42% after 12 hours. And I'm like, there it is. Good. Okay.
It looks like
I love this guy.
from a Minecraft game that my kids play.
I don't even know what Minecraft is, but yeah, it looks like an anime. It looks like some anime dork drew a truck because he's never been in a Ford F-150. That's what it looks like.
Precisely.
They imagine. Yeah, it's a future vehicle that should be a remote control car on the surface of Mars, but instead it is driving around and taking up more than one parking space because whoever owns it is an asshole. I don't know you if you own a Cybertruck. I'm not specifically calling you an asshole, but I might if I did know you. Let me do your 5-star review. This one actually covers some Steve friends, so we like that too. Here we go, folks. 5-star reviews coming in on Apple. Try to overwhelm the algorithm if you can. This is coming from Petty J, also known as WJP. I don't know what that means, WJP, but thank you. Funny and informative, almost always 5 stars. I came across the Kyle Seraphin show because of his popularity in conservative circles and a Rumble icon. As a Navy veteran, I greatly appreciate his support, his humor, and the inside views of unclassified military details. Fun. Kyle and Steve Friend are the best on Fridays. I appreciate you guys. Don't give up the ship. WJP. Don't give up the ship must be a Navy thing. I don't want to give up any ships. If I have a ship, I'm keeping it for sure. What about you? You'll defend it?
Oh, I'll defend that. Yeah. You don't want to give up the ship. You got to wave the black flag. It's pirate time. Don't tread on me. Whatever you want to go with. A vow.
Spit on your hands. Pirate flag. Burt Macklin said he just bought a Cybertruck. Of course he did. Of course Burt Macklin, FBI, would own a Cybertruck. Shame on you,
He
Burt.
uses it for all the surveillance he does at school board meetings.
Nobody will ever see you in a Cybertruck. You're basically invisible. It actually has a cloaking device. Steve, thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. You're the best. What are you guys having up coming up tomorrow for AMRAD?
American Radicals podcast. Join us 12 Eastern time on Rumble, rumble.com/AMRADPod. It'll be our final podcast of the month of June. So an after action on the Rainbow Kamikaze / Life Month that we have been going through the last 4 weeks. So encourage everyone to join us there, like and follow the channel and join us for that.
Thanks, buddy. Love you. Have a good weekend. We'll talk later on.
All right. Later.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the show. We really appreciate you guys. Again, the 5-star reviews mean a lot, mostly because we're trying to overwhelm the algorithm over at Apple. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw today. If you didn't watch the debate and you guys got a little taste of it today and you want to share it with your friends and family, make sure you please do that. We appreciate that. That's how we grow the channel, and you guys can always increase our little visibility by giving us a thumbs up, that like, making sure that you're subscribed and following where you are listening to it. And if you want to be notified, knock yourself out. We go live at 9:30 Eastern time, 8:30 here in Texas, America. The live chat is over on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I will be logging off very soon, and I'm going to go hang out with my kids. We're going to go to a river. We're going to go hang out with some family. I hope you do the same thing. I hope that you are able to enjoy your weekend. Don't overheat. Get yourself hydrated, and God bless you. We'll see you on Monday morning.
Thanks for listening to the Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.